All right, we are joining me for quick perspective on this is Mr. Brahma Chellaney, Strategic Affairs expert. We are also joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired, former Chief of Staff, 14 Corps and DG Infantry, Indian Army. I want to cut across first to the General. General, you know, at a time when we are very clear that Operation Sindhu is on a pause, number one, at a time where Pakistan refuses to acknowledge its role in fomenting terror, at a time where we are trying, to go on a diplomatic offensive, sending delegations across the world, making the world understand the kind of role Pakistan has played where terror in India is concerned. You know, in midst of all of this, to hark back to what has been ceremonial protocol, would you think it correct?
Preeti, thank you very much. I think the opinions are divided. One, that most of them might want to say, well, look, everything is held in abeyance. The Indus Water Treaty held in abeyance. The thing is, Pakistan still continues to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy. You're right when you say that delegations going all over the world to tell them what Pakistan is all about. And under these circumstances, to have a ceremony like this, well, to be seen as probably both countries also want to normalize relations. The second opinion is, well, Pakistan has always been continuing using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. That is not going to change. And under all circumstances of Sindhu is now for matters. If Pakistan takes it beyond it, then of course the retaliation will be there, but stand suspended and probably might lead to better time. And all these optics, if people are coming in lakhs on both sides, then of course the gates are closed. There is no handshake. So that particular kind of conveying a message that look, the gates are closed. There is no handshake because as a country you don't seem to be changing, and it is because of the terror which we are affected by. So it is both ways. I think well, if you ask me, it makes no difference because if people are coming in lakhs over there and are wanting to witness the ceremony, which is there. Invariably, we do have these ceremonies, retreat and reveille all over in all Portugal. So even if it is seen as a ceremony which people want to see, so be it. But if the government intends not, because I thought this is a government call, that, well, let the ceremony carry on, let people come there because one of the tourist points where most people do go there. And obviously, the gates will remain closed. There will be no handshake. But retreat and reveille, irrespective of whether the gates open or not, this ceremony will still be there. Whether people witness it or they don't witness it. But the dramatic optic, that won't be there at that point of time between the two sides, between the Pakistani Rangers and the border security force. That won't be there. But ceremony will be there. If people are willing to come and witness a scaled down ceremony, so be it. Yeah.
Mr. Brahma Chellaney, what do you make of it? A scaled down ceremony, but would you reckon possibly the messaging is very confusing because at one end you're building a diplomatic as well, as a front where you seem to suggest that Operation Sindhu is only on a pause, and on the other hand, to once again go back to what has been a largely ceremonial ceremony seems to be suggesting normalizing of relationship, and we are far from that.
Consistent and clear messaging is important. But in India's case, we are never sending out clear, consistent messages. And the revival of the beating retreat ceremony at Attari-Wagah border and similar ceremonies at other crossings like Hussainwala and Sadak, just 10 days after India's abrupt halt of its military operation, clearly means that we are slowly but surely returning to business as usual. How else will people interpret this? And look at the irony of it. We have a central government in office that claims to be nationalistic, and yet it clings to a colonial legacy. Beating retreat ceremony has its roots in colonial military traditions. Now, this decadent practice is being revived at an inopportune time. Of course, this practice has been reinterpreted and amplified, so it bears no semblance to the original British practice. It has become a ceremony that draws large numbers of tourists. The aggressive stomping, synchronized drills, and loud commands are intended to project an image of strength, discipline, and readiness. Thousands are drawn to this spectacle, contributing to local tourism and to the local economy. So clearly, by not having this ceremony, Amritsar's economy, for example, was suffering. But is that the reason to revive a decadent practice? Don't we have larger objectives in mind? What kind of message are we sending to our own people? That we are returning to business as usual, 10 days after abruptly halting the military operation, that too just hours after the Indian armed forces struck key Pakistani air bases and seized the upper hand on the battlefield. Just then, the government of India accepted a ceasefire.
Fair point. General, I want to bring you back into this conversation. The sheer fact with what Mr. Brahma Chellaney also pointed on, what kind of messaging is this? Because there's a fair amount of confusion. At one end, both the political arm and, even militarily, we made one point very clear that from here on, our doctrine on terror has changed. How we look at Pakistan has changed. It's going to be very different this time. And you've had largely the people of India come together in unison with that thought, with clarity. However, when visuals like this go out, where you have people cheering on, India on one side, you have tourists lining up, it might be for economic reasons, but the messaging is very confusing. Forget about international audience, even to your own domestic audience.
To be honest with you, if the tourists are coming, who are these tourists? They're Indians. They are our own people from wanting to go there to the border. They aren't coming from abroad. Very few come from abroad over there. Most of them are our own locals. I've been there. I've seen it so many times. Our own people. Quite happy to be there, cheering and everything. Until and unless you decide, for us, Pakistan only exists. That's all. We have nothing to do with Pakistan. Then I would go and stop everything. They'd have nothing. They exist. That's on the other side of the fence. And that's the gate closed. That's the end of it. Or if there are neighbors, there's nothing that much that we can do other than put a tremendous amount of pressure. Because Pakistan is not going to mend their ways. Pakistan is going to remain as it is. Then nothing is going to change much. But yes, the pressure. And the pressure both on their military and the pressure on their political side. And the people across that, look, India is a big country. All said and done, if the ceremony carries on, the gates are closed. We are not going to shake hands with you because that's the way you behave, and this kind of a behavioral pattern is not acceptable. And we insist and we do not hesitate in saying that, look, Pakistan is the hub of terrorism. Pakistan is using terrorism as an instrument of state policy all that time. No, it's supposing, let's put it this way, you close it, people won't come. But if you open it and you still find lakhs of them coming, now what messaging are we going to give? Our own people. They are nothing. The messaging is to be for whom? After all, if our own people want, if they are there, supposing for next 3 days you find only trickles, just 10 people, 15 people, 100 people, obviously close down, don't let them come in. But this particular ceremony of reveille and retreat is a part. It's a part of the system. It's done in all corner guards across the country, in all infantry battalions. So nothing new about it. So if there is a guard at the presidential palace, which is at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is going to change, so you will find that if there are 100 people there witnessing, the ceremony is there. If people are interested in watching, I think so be it. Now there's nothing that you can do because these aren't people. We aren't creating. Most civilians are not aware of what people in uniform do, what is it like, and most of the people who come here are from all over India, down south, east, west, everywhere, and they just want to see what is it like. That's it. Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Make your point, sir. Finish.
Yeah, so what I was conveying is that when people are coming from all over India, this is just one of the tourist points. They're going to the Golden Temple, they're going to go and see that museum over there, then they go over there, they go to Jallianwala Bagh. This is part of the tourist circuit where people don't mind seeing what is it like. Most of them are very, where is the border? Most people don't know where the border is. I mean, this is the border, this is the gate. Of course, gate is closed, everything is there. It's just an attraction for the people. If people of India don't want it, they won't come there.
Fair point,
but
sir.
if they are keen, if they're still coming in lakhs over there, then irrespective of what we want to do, there's nothing that we can do about it. I think, I look at it this way, as a person who was in uniform 10 years back, I would say it's okay, carry on, doesn't matter. It's been there for years, since 59, the ceremony going on, so be it, nothing very much. And until you say, for us, Pakistan only exists. We don't care one bit. We are not going to trade nothing. And that's it. Then, of course, I would say, don't have a look at it. Still, you'll find people will come there, want to see what is the border like. They go to Munaba also in Rajasthan to go and see what the border looks like, how's it like. It's curiosity. For us, it's a daily thing. For people from across the country who come as tourists, I think the curiosity, nothing else.
Fair
point. I look at it from that point of view, attaching no political significance to it.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring in Mr. Brahma Chellaney into this conversation because Mr. Brahma Chellaney, away from the economies of these three towns in Punjab where, this retreat ceremony has opened, there's a fair point that General Kulkarni also made that, and I just would like to add to it because the whole spectre of it all, the optics of it all that we were touching on, there is a huge chunk of the Indian population which subscribes to a machismo way of looking at patriotism. For them, some might call it jingoism, but the optics of it all is very reassuring. And that's what they go and see, and that's, what they instill on. Would you reckon maybe for that, this could, why not?
Beating retreat has its origins in British military tradition that dates back to 17th century England. It was originally a signal for soldiers to return to their barracks at sunset, hence the term retreat. But India and Pakistan carried forward this tradition. They amplified it, they made it nationalistic, they became rival spectacles at the border, attracting large crowds daily. But is that the reason why we should continue with the decadent practice? A practice that seeks to show how well we are prepared at the border. Actually, the reality is that our biggest weakness is border security. With all the countries in South Asia, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, China, the land grabs in Ladakh, Pakistan, terrorists managing to enter India repeatedly. All of India's security problems center on inadequate border management and inadequate border security. With all due respect to General Kulkarni, he said, Pakistan will not change. Operation Sindhu was designed to change Pakistan's behavior.
Right.
The different steps that India has taken are also designed to change Pakistan's behavior. If Pakistan's behavior will not change, then why are we doing various things? Okay. Why are we sending MPs abroad? Why have we put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance? Why did we engage in this 3-day Operation Sindhu? What was the point? In fact, if the operation was going to be only for 3 days, we would have been better off had we kept Pakistan under sustained military pressure and used non-military tools to exert pressure on Pakistan. Pakistan's behavior will change if India adopts a sustained approach, an approach that seeks to exert sustained pressure on Pakistan and imposes costs as and when necessary.
Right. All right. General Kulkarni and Mr. Brahma Chellaney, I appreciate both of you for joining us in this, quick discussion. We're going to leave it for our viewers to decide on where they stand on this. We've tried to give you both sides of that divide. Appreciate both of you for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.